For decades, there's only been one conventional weapon capable of completely destroying an enemy warship in a single hit: the torpedo. Still, recent footage taken by the US Air Force shows a new imposing weapon that aims to have the same effect on enemy vessels, but this time, the projectile drops from the sky. The so-called Quicksink bomb is designed as an intelligent and inexpensive solution to engage naval targets with the same destructive power as a torpedo, but with the crucial particularity that it is deployed from a warplane. The eye-opening footage shows a large cargo ship stationed in the Gulf of Mexico, when in a split second, a projectile falls right beside her, exploding underwater. The massive cargo ship is then torn in half by the potent blast in a spectacular display of power, representing a highly significant moment in US military history that could radically transform the future of naval warfare. Arrival to the torpedo. Torpedoes have been the go-to choice when seeking to disable enemy ships in a quick and reliable way. Other than a few specialized high-yield explosives, the torpedo remains one of the only ways to sink a warship with a single shot. As effective as torpedoes have proven to be, they are an expensive and challenging solution. Major Andrew Swanson, 85th TES Division Chief of Advanced Programs, explained, quote, "Heavyweight torpedoes are effective at sinking large ships, but are expensive and employed by a small portion of naval assets. Because the Navy only has a limited number of ships capable of launching torpedoes, and the devices being so expensive to produce and maintain, the US military has found itself with limited options to swiftly neutralize large ships. To address this issue, the US Air Force, in partnership with the Navy, developed the Quicksink program, which seeks to provide new options to rapidly neutralize naval surface targets at minimal costs, while also demonstrating the intrinsic flexibility of the joint force in combat scenarios. The Quicksink program. The Quicksink program has already produced a promising first application that might open an entire array of similar solutions for the US military. The initial iteration is a modified 2,000-pound GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munition, altered with a guidance kit that converts the conventional projectile into an intelligent bomb capable of correcting its course. The guidance conversion kits are relatively cheap to produce, and they drastically improve the projectile's accuracy and capabilities. Despite being dropped from above, the bomb is designed to detonate below a ship's hull in order to attain similar results to those of a torpedo. As the projectile is dropped from the aircraft, its guidance system adjusts its course to hit the water just beside the target vessel. Once underwater, the payload detonates below the ship's hull, perforating it or ripping it apart to facilitate the expeditious sinking of the enemy ship. Swanson would further explain the advantages of the new technology, quote, "With Quicksink, we've demonstrated a low-cost and more agile solution that has the potential to be employed by the majority of Air Force combat aircraft, providing combatant commanders and warfighters with more options." The breakthrough provides the US military with an additional solution against naval threats, but it also does it in a more cost-effective way, and with the ability to endow almost any warplane with the destructive power of a torpedo. Cheap and effective. On April 28, 2022, the US Air Force Research Laboratory and Eglin Air Force Base's Integrated Test Team conducted a test with the preliminary Quicksink bomb. The payload was delivered via an F-15E Strike Eagle, which released the modified 2,000-pound GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munition over a large cargo ship in the Gulf of Mexico. The test was the second experiment in the Quicksink Joint Capability Technology Demonstration, with the first time taking place at an undisclosed location sometime in the recent past. The April test was a joint effort between the Air Force Research Laboratory, the 780th Test Squadron of the 96th Test Wing, and the 85th Test and Evaluation Squadron of the 53rd Wing, and financed by the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering. Colonel Tony Meeks, director of Air Force Research Laboratory's Munitions Directorate, explained the reason for developing such a weapon. Quote, "Quicksink is an answer to the urgent need to neutralize maritime threats to freedom around the world." The men and women in this directorate consistently find ways to solve our nation's greatest challenges. The experiment conducted in April used Joint Direct Attack Munitions, a guidance kit that converts unguided bombs into all-weather precision-guided munitions able to adjust their course mid-fall in order to strike the target in the most efficient possible way. In it, the conventional munitions are fitted with a GPS-assisted inertial navigation system, which allows them to identify their exact position in real time, as well as the position of their target. Thus, even if the target is moving, the bomb is able to reach it to deliver its payload. In contrast to torpedoes, which are also capable of sinking ships with a single hit, but often reveal the location of the firing submarine, Quicksink devices leave the deploying aircraft safe from a counterattack, as they can immediately leave the area. Kirk Herzog, the Air Force Research Laboratory Program Manager, elaborated on their goals. Quote, "A Navy submarine has the ability to launch and destroy a ship with a single torpedo at any time, but the Quicksink aims to develop a low-cost method of achieving torpedo-like kills from the air at a much higher rate and over a much larger area." The whole idea boils down to reducing costs and risks, as airdrop payloads make counteroffensives much harder to execute. Even if the target is able to successfully engage the warplane, its crew is smaller and might be able to escape. In contrast, a submarine crew might suffer more severe losses. Furthermore, a single F-15EX aircraft costs $87.7 million, whereas a U.S. submarine can cost up to $2.8 billion per unit, making submarine torpedo attacks even riskier and potentially more costly than the Quicksink solution. A spectacular test. The footage released by the U.S. military shows the empty cargo ship floating in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. A Joint Direct Attack munition then dropped from the sky right beside the old cargo ship. The bomb seems to burst just below the waterline, releasing the blast underneath the ship where her armor is the lightest. The explosion immediately splits the vessel in half as she sinks in fractions of a minute. Had the explosive hit the deck instead of the ship's underbelly, an immediate sinking would have been less likely, as decks tend to be heavily reinforced and the ships are often able to continue operating. Thus, the novel technology has taken everything that makes a torpedo so effective and lethal to enemy ships and applied it to an airborne solution, drastically reducing the costs of deployment as well as the risk to the lives of U.S. servicemen, while retaining the impressive power that can sink a ship in just a few seconds. If the program continues to thrive, many other types of quick-sink solutions will emerge, polished for different combat scenarios and fine-tuned to counter specific maritime threats. Thank you for watching my video. Do you think this technology has the potential to render the torpedo obsolete? Please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And for more history-inspired content, consider subscribing to this and all our Dark Documentaries channels, where we publish new content every day. Stay tuned.